Ashwani Bhatia, Managing Director of State Bank of India, joins us now, and lots to talk with him. But today I'll talk about something which has been very close to his heart. A business which he's headed is planning to go public. That's SBI Mutual Funds. Mr. Bhatia, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Sir, has the official the countdown started for SBI Mutual Fund? Paperwork, approvals, is everything on fast track?
Yeah, the process has started, and all the paperwork and all has also begun. So, of course, the process will be followed, and yeah, you'll be hearing something from the company rather soon.
Can AMC public, considering that if I look at their peers right now, uh, Birla Sun Life AMC did not see a great debut. HDFC AMC is off from its recent high. UTA AMC also is not really commanding great premium. Does it make sense to take India's largest mutual fund public when the market conditions are exactly not favorable?
So, I mean, there's no urgent need actually to go to the market. So, whenever we think that the timing is good, the markets are favorable, and we get the right valuation, I think we will go to the market. This is just to say that we are in no hurry. uh, I mean, we do not need capital at the moment, and as you know, State Bank of India's capital position right now is quite comfortable.
So can I say that while the intention is to take SBI MF public, but if market conditions are not stable and if they don't improve, the issue may not see light of the day even in Q1 FY23.
It remains to be seen, right? So depends on so many conditions. All that I can say right now, sitting here, is that the asset management bit is doing extremely well. We have grown more than the market, and we have gained market share. We've gained customers, and right now we are running an NFO, which where we think we should be getting decent response as well.
Now, if I change gears to the other important aspect, which is that interest rates are likely to move higher, and State Bank of India and some term deposit rates has already moved higher. Is State Bank of India now preparing for a higher interest rate regime? Because if you've started giving more on deposits, that means you will start charging more on loans.
So that is again a progression. What we did in the last few days was nothing but a rejig of some rates in some buckets, depend based on our own ALCO requirements. So as you would have seen, we raised rates in the 1 to 2 year bucket a little earlier, because that forms the bulk of our deposit base on the fixed deposit side. And now we've done it for the longer tenor fixed deposits. And as you would have seen in the markets, the rates have kind of moved up. The reverse repo rate is right now not the policy rate, very frankly. And RBI has been absorbing at 3.95 and above in the VRRRs. So yeah, it's a wait and watch approach. But for the moment, there is no move on the advances side. But as I said, it's a natural progression.
Right. Mr. Bhatia, I just wanted to understand, considering that we are in a very uncertain rate environment right now, and it seems that it's very much a probability itself that sooner or later the RBI as well would move in on rates. Just wanted to understand, as a observer of the economy, what is your own sense on whether or not the RBI is also going to bite the bullet and hike rates eventually, as would the Fed?
So no point second guessing what RBI is going to do or what it is likely to do. The markets were caught by surprise when the policy was announced. So let's say that RBI perhaps and does know more than all of us. So I think it's going to be a very gradual way in which RBI will start reversing the policy rates. Uh, Obviously, they'll first have to change the stance, then move on the reverse repo and repo rate, so on and so forth. I'm not going to make a guess when that is going to happen and all. But yes, you're right that the Federal Reserve has already given indications that there could be a few hikes during this year. Bank of England has already done so. And if you look at the global picture, the number of or number of percentage of 10-year yields that were below zero some time back, and you compare that today, there's a huge difference. So globally, of course, inflation is becoming a worry. We haven't seen those kind of rates, inflation rates in the US. They were last seen in the 70s and the early part of the 80s also. So Indian economy kind of is slightly different. Let's wait and watch.
Indeed, markets also in a wait and watch mode as well, I guess. The other thing, my colleague was just chatting with you about SBI Mutual Fund. What the markets also want to be is, when is Yono going to be in line next? I know we've chatted about this often, but the markets forever remain curious, Mr. Bhatia.
Yeah, so I've been asked this question time and again, but my answer would remain the same, that right now there is no thinking on that when we will do the Yono IPO. Right now, it remains uh, part of our digital offering and packaging. Nothing more to say over there.
Good morning, Mr. Bhatia. This is Nantara coming in. As you said, you don't want to second guess what it is that the RBI will decide to do. We're, of course, all waiting to see what happens in the United States and the FOMC. We are hearing projections of 3 rate hikes to 4 to 5 to even 7. But Mr. Bhatia, the indication, while we don't know and we can't second guess the RBI, the message though is very clear in the sense when it comes to liquidity at least. The messaging that has come in, for example, from previous auctions also that were cancelled in the last fortnight. What is that going to mean for the banking landscape?
So the banking landscape actually has been helped by what the Reserve Bank of India has done. So they cancelled 2 auctions, the 2 last auctions in February. It means 2 things. Number one, because of the policy announcements, the yield came down. Number two, banks don't face M2M hits at the end of the quarter. So to that extent, the banking sector will benefit to a large extent. At the same time, you look at the way CD rates are moving and the way CP rates are moving right now. It does appear that the market is maybe thinking at a divergence as compared to the Reserve Bank of India.
There's a very strong statement there coming, right? That the markets are perhaps taking a divergence from what the action on ground is and the messaging that's coming in from the Reserve Bank of India. Now, Mr. Bhatia, if you look at the share price of SBI and how it has outperformed all of its industry peers, including private sector lenders, at a time when there was all this conversation of banks, if they're doing enough when it comes to technology spends, if fintech is indeed going to be a threat, whether the world is going to need banking but maybe not banks. Taking that conversation forward, can you give us any indication of how SBI will maintain its edge and stay as the leader?
So we spend a significant amount both on the OPEX and CAPEX as far as IT goes. And we do try to remain in line with whatever is happening outside. So we started with the Yono quite a few years back. But at the same time, all the new developments that have come in, whether it is UPI or Bharat Pay or all the other instruments that have been started by the government or by NPCI and others, we have tried to keep pace. We also realize that going forward, digital is going to be the way forward. The way the government has been trying to digitize everything is, I think, a matter of uh, pleasure. I mean, it's a great thing that even the world is watching India do what it is on the digitization piece. So my take on this is that just look at three things: digitization, platformization, and formalization. And the government, the way it has used the stack, the Aadhaar piece, to actually integrate everything. So whether it is GST, whether it is FASTag, whether it is CoWIN, whether it is IT, everything is getting onto a platform. And going forward, the way you are going to transact, the way you are going to get loans, all that is going to become much more simpler because there's going to be a digital trail. And with Sibyl, with scores, with all the kind of enablements that digital provides, things will become much better as far as lending is concerned, as far as banking is concerned. So 5 years down the line, you can very well imagine that the shape of the banking itself could be quite different from what it is now.
Mr. Bhatia, when this banking landscape will be rewritten with technology, platformization play that you're also talking about, the expectation is, like SBI, will be very prudent with its capital. It'll follow the best practices when it comes to digital lending as well. Something the RBI has also now been flagging off when it comes to fintech, which is perhaps, backed by venture capital, being not as what should one say, thinking twice before giving out all of those digital loans, the personal loans. We have phenomenon like buy now, pay later. How do you see all of this progressing?
It's going to
The fear
progress very. It's going to
be
progress very
ballooning,
fast.
right?
Yes. This is going to progress very fast. But please do realize that banks are not NBFCs. The banks cannot charge the way NBFCs or others do, even on the fintech space. Our NIMs cannot go to 10% or 12%. Our NIMs will remain, say, between 3 and 4.5%. So we need to be extremely careful when we get onto any such platform or any such engagement with the fintechs. I also know that for sure the co-lending is also going to pick up very fast. There is a technology issue and all over there, so all of those kind of things will change the landscape very fast. At the same time, at State Bank of India, we are engaging with fintechs. We are also making some investments on the private equity side into some of these names so that we can leverage the strength of the fintech and our network. That, I think, would be one way forward to improve the penetration as far as digital is concerned. But again, when you talk about digitization of loans can be done on the small scale, where there is some amount of standardization. So our express credit loans, for example, which in this quarter grew by about 28% or so. A decent amount of that happens on the digital platform because we have some history of the customers who are taking it. Going forward, this will move to small ticket SME loans also, very sure, because there will be a data feed from GST, from FASTag, from so many other sources, which will make the decision making simpler. But finally, I would also think that the sign off, of course, has to be given by the branch manager sitting in a branch.
Let's see how all of this pans out. That's absolutely right. SBI has been investing in fintech. I remember Cashfree was a recent such investment. Mr. Bhatia, has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel today. A very timely interview, given all the uncertainty that the markets are also grappling with, and of course, Main Street.